Coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Welcome to another Questions with L.A. Folks, I'm not Mr. Know-It-All, and if I don't have an answer, sometimes I try to look it up. Other times, like you, I scratch my head and go, you know, maybe we're not supposed to know the answer to some of what we question. But I digress as usual. Before we get into questions, we have signed up with my Patriot Supply. Folks, we are in a very unstable world right now. I think that's obvious. Check it out. We have partnered with them. We have the bins in our root cellar that we have for an emergency. And this is why, what I love about this is it's a 25-year shelf life. 25-year shelf life. They will outlive me. I'm 73. So 25 years from now, maybe, but who knows? But the bottom line is it lasts a long, long time. And having gone through the 2018 fire and know how important it is to have supplies in an event of an emergency. Anyway, check it out, My Patriot Supply. Go to the link below, order yours today. When you do that, you help support us. Thanks so much. I'll be back on the other side of the break. Hey folks, L.A. Marzulli here. And you know, a lot's going on right now in the world. And this is why I rely on My Patriot Supply. We've got 2 stashes of them. They're fantastic. I believe in their product, which is why we're advertising it here. Their mega 3-month emergency food kit comes jam-packed with 33 varieties of filling and delicious foods. Not only does that include creamy chicken-flavored rice, old-fashioned Italian spaghetti, and savory, cheesy broccoli soup, but you also get a bonus protein kit with diced beef, flavorful chicken chunks, and 3 varieties of beans, plus 9 different fruits, vegetables, and snacks. Folks, all in all, this emergency food kit provides a whopping 2,500 calories per day to keep you well-fed and ready for anything. The way I see it, it's my solemn duty as an American to protect my family without waiting on handouts. And that starts with food you can depend on for up to 25 years. Go to foodwithla.com. That's www.foodwithla.com. You can save $300 on your mega 3-month emergency food kit. It ships fast and free. Once again, foodwithla.com. That's foodwithla.com. Folks, we love My Patriot Supply, and we've got quite the stash, so we are ready for anything. Okay, folks, remember, if you've got a questions at lamarzulli.net, questions at lamarzulli.net. All week long, we have been doing questions, and we're trying to play catch-up, and of course, we never will, but I digress. This is from Colton. Hey, hello, LA. I hope all is well with you. When I hear you speak, it seems that you believe in the Earth as a globe, like everyone is taught in government schools. My question is, do you believe in the Earth as a globe or flat Earth or some other idea? I do not believe in the flat Earth. The Earth is a globe. Let's continue. I personally, when looking at the world around me and the provable science on the topic, I've come to the conclusion that it is not a globe. I don't know if it is definitely flat, but I do think the truth is closer to flat Earth's theory than the globe Earth. I had stopped to look for a video from the guys of Now You See TV where they had a guy on talking about how he thought he had figured out how exactly what Enoch meant when talking about the movement of the sun and what the gates are. I just spent 2 hours trying to find the video to get his name and the name of the book, but essentially he said it seemed to be describing the movements of the sun exactly as it would be in the flat Earth cosmology. He had a diagram and it goes on from there. I'm wondering if we could get into the Vatican Library. Is there a version of Genesis that has much more? What are your thoughts on these 2 topics? Well, look, I am not a flat earther. I've made that really clear. And if you want to believe in a flat earth, I'm not going to mock you. I'm not going to disparage you on this show. You can believe what you want to believe. Some people believe, as an example, some people believe that the Fatima apparitions were the Virgin Mary. I do not. Those people who believe it was the Virgin Mary are entitled to the belief. They are. It's okay. Believe what you want to believe. I'm not here to argue. I will just say for myself, having looked at all the planets out there from what we can see, and having looked at pictures from the Earth, and I've talked to the man, one of the men, who was receiving the pictures from the lunar landing. They were coming in, and he was watching them develop right before his eyes. It's not a hoax. And of course, the Earth was not flat, it was a globe. The Earth is spinning. Ask any pilot. A pilot that goes from point A to point B has to account for the curvature of the Earth. Here's another thing. When you take America's Stonehenge and you go out to the summer solstice standing sun, So here we have the center of the henge, and here we have the summer solstice standing stone. And you continue that line on Google Earth. Well, the line goes over the curvature of the Earth, and it winds up bisecting the two trilithons at Stonehenge in the UK, Stonehenge, England. So in order to do that, you have to account for the curvature of the Earth. You have to know spherical trigonometry, which is what it is, which is way beyond my pay grade. I can pronounce it, but there's no way I can act on it. But that's what it is, it's spherical trigonometry. And we see this in these ancient megalithic sites. If you are a pilot and you're going from point A to point B, you have to know spherical trigonometry. Ask any pilot. I'll leave it at that. Okay, sometimes back, if I recall correctly, on one program, you showed a map of a possible route of the giants from the Levant through Africa into the Mediterranean and down to South America. Is that any of your material? I'd like to have it, and I understand it's a speculation to a point, but they had to migrate somewhere. I'm trying to explain some of this to a few other people who have legitimate questions, and they are not scoffers, but they are more detailed people. You are looking at On the Trail of the Nephilim Volume 1 and Volume 2. And actually, all 8 series delve into the Nephilim. 1 and 2, in particular, talk about this, and I show it. There's a clip that we use in the film of Thor Heyerdahl, the explorer, the adventurer, who believed in the dispersion theory. There's 2 types of positions in archaeology that you can have. One is isolationists. So as an isolationist, you believe that people don't go anywhere. They camp out by the river, but they don't go down the river too far because they might fall off and die. So they don't do that. They move very, very slowly. They don't see what's over the mountain. They don't sail down the river. They don't explore. Isolationism. That's the prevailing paradigm in most archaeological circles. The other paradigm in which to embrace is the one I do, is diffusionism, which we believe exactly the opposite. We believe if you wake up and you're a 15-year-old kid and you live by a river, you want to see what the heck is downstream. So you jump in your canoe or your raft or whatever, and you go downstream, maybe for 2 or 3 days, maybe for 5 days, maybe for a whole month, and you wind up in a lake or you get to the ocean, and you come back later on, a year later, and you tell the tribe, oh my gosh, look what we saw. That's diffusionism. With that in mind, Thor Heyerdahl, because he's a diffusionist, created a papyrus boat similar to the one that the Phoenicians would have used thousands of years ago. He sailed that papyrus boat from the Strait of Gibraltar. No compass, just a sail, no map, to see where the trade winds would blow him. It blew him to the island of Barbados in the New World. That's how they got over here. That's how they got over here. The other way they came was through the north. They island hopped. So they went through the Mediterranean, through Gozo and Malta and Sardinia and Sicily and Mallorca, into Spain, up into Portugal, up into France, to the UK, to Ireland, and then you look at the map. Look at a real map, and you can sail from Ireland or even the northern part of England, and you can make your way and island hop and down into the New World. This is why the copper trade is what it is. This is why in Michigan there are these mines, and no one knows what happened to the copper. That's the Bronze Age. Because to make bronze, you need copper and tin, and that makes bronze. Tin comes from England, the copper came from the U.S. True, Native Americans used some of the copper, but the copper coming out of the Michigan mines was almost 100% pure. This enables the trade routes. This begins the Bronze Age. This is why our Nephilim lance that we have, Chief Joseph has it now. I used to have a replica of it. It burned in the fire, unfortunately. Lost a lot of cool stuff in the fire, but I digress. So the bottom line is this, that they came over here. The Nephilim lance was found in Michigan. And thank you, Christian Widner, for doing this, but they had it analyzed, and there's isotopes which are found in the Middle East. We believe that bronze spear, which is about this long, almost 3 feet long, was used in the hands of a 9-foot giant. So people ask me, LA, where are the bones? We have a picture. It's in the On the Trail of the Nephilim book. And this is what, once again, and Dennis, I hope you are watching this, but On the Trail of a Nephilim book shows the picture of Ralph Glidden standing in an excavated tomb, grave. In front of him is a 9-foot skeleton. How do we know? 3 different researchers looked at the photograph and extrapolated the size of Ralph Glidden at 5'8", and were able to go on their computers and figure out the distance that the photographer was from Glidden and the open skeleton. They all put it over 9 feet. They all put it over 9 feet tall. So we have the bones. We have the bones. There were bones displayed in a prominent museum in the Midwest. That's all I'll say. And they were, of course, removed for the NAGPRA, Native American Grave NAGPRA Protection and Repatriation Act, NAGPRA. So, and I get that. You know, a lot of these museums had Uncle Bob skull. And everybody, oh, there's Uncle Bob. No, we can't do that. But there were giants. There were giants here. They did roam the land. We know that. Absolutely, they roamed the land. Native American oral tradition has that, almost in every single tribe. The Sitka, Sarah Winnemucca talks about it. I mean, how many stories? But unfortunately, many modern-day archaeologists, and this is the problem, they don't believe in the giants. They don't believe in the biblical narrative or the biblical record, and that's fine. They can believe what they want to believe, but we do. We believe that the giants were here. Why? Because of the biblical prophetic narrative, but also because Native American oral tradition says that they were here. Sarah Winnemucca talked about the Sitka, the red-haired, six-fingered cannibalistic giants in Lovelock Cave. I've been to Lovelock Cave. So, to answer your question, Dennis, On the Trail of a Nephilim Series 1 to 8. You can go to streaming.laMarzulli.net, streaming.laMarzulli.net, and I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to sell DVDs. This is a legitimate question, but that's your answer. I just gave you, what, a 6-7 minute answer? There's 8 films. That's like, what, 12 hours worth of material? On the Trail of a Nephilim is like a 600-page book, 350 illustrations. Seriously, I can't recreate those in a little YouTube video. That's why you guys need to do your homework. The answers are what you're looking for, and the deep dive, it's there in the films. And for $5, you can go to streaming.laMarzulli.net. For $5, you can watch a film. So all 8, that's $40 investment. $40, and you can watch all 8 of the On the Trail of a Nephilim series. I hope that helps. And, you know, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to shoot them here. This is from Tony. I'd like to know where I can see the aliens visible in window of UFO. That is in the intro. Is it on a DVD? Yes, it's in the Watchers series. It's in the Watchers series. It's also in our UFO series. Thanks for my business partner, Gil Zimmerman, and I. We have 10 films in that series. The Kumbergaz UFO is used in number 1 and number 2, I believe, but specifically in number 1, as well as my interview with Dr. Roger Lear, so you can check that out. You can go, once again, I realize it's a shameless plug, but you guys, you can do your homework and even do a deep dive. Streaming.LAMarzulli.net, that's our streaming service. Streaming.LAMarzulli.net, all 10 UFO films are there. What are you waiting for? Do a deep dive. We are, and I'm going to boast here, we are the only Christian ministry on the planet that has 10 films that deal with the burgeoning UFO phenomena. Everything from close encounters of the first, second, third, fourth, fifth kind to the abduction phenomena, crop circles, cattle mutilations, Roswell 1 and 2, and finally, what is the truth? What are we looking at? Are these our friendly, benevolent space brothers from some far-off planet, or are they interdimensional entities? Remember, in the halls of Congress just recently, David Grush, when questioned by Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina, stated on the record that not only do we have crashed craft in our possession, but we have the biologics from these craft, and they were non-human biologics. What do you do with that, folks? Do a deep dive. And I get into this in my book, and a perfect segue, Rungs of Disclosure. It's coming out in October. Go to the link's right down below. It's a special link. Go there. You can pre-order the book, $5 off, plus it's an autographed copy. It may be the most important book I have ever written, especially in light of David Grush's testimony in the halls of Congress when he stated on the record that we have biologics that are non-human. We have in our possession. The United States government has in its possession non-human biologics. So there you have it. LA, what do you mean by we are the replacement theory? And this is from Maryland. Maryland, I've talked about this before, but I'm bringing it up again. When a third of the host of angels fall and they side with Lucifer, God doesn't do the same thing. It's like snowflakes. No two snowflakes are the same, allegedly. Who knows? People will argue that. That's okay. The point I'm trying to make, no two faces, no two fingerprints are the same. God is always creating something new and different. So when the fallen angels fall, we are the replacements. He doesn't create more angels. He creates us. And that is the whole story of redemption. And as Gary Stearman would say, he sets the dragon trap. I had a friend of mine call and was complaining and basically saying, if you knew your son was Jack the Ripper, you would never let him out of the house. I said, well, that's true. Then why does God allow Satan in the garden? God allows the dragon in the garden. I got this from Gary Stearman, because it is a dragon trap. Because it allows the Messiah to reconcile all things back to him. It allows the Messiah. He's the firstborn of the dead. That's Jesus. He's the beginning, the firstborn of the dead. For in him the fullness of God was pleased to dwell, and through him to reconcile to himself all things on earth and in heaven, making peace by the blood of the cross. The dragon never understood the cross. He figured you can't kill God. He really didn't understand the dragon trap in the garden. But the whole purpose of the garden was redemption. Genesis 3:15, the seed of a dragon, the offspring of a dragon at war with the offspring of the woman. Okay, last question. And could the disappearance of the mound builders be because of Noah's flood? I would say this, no. When you go down to places like Sacsayhuaman in Peru, and you see those huge megalithic stones, what's left of that, and you go to Ollantaytambo and other places, Machu Picchu, something cataclysmic has happened to these sites. That's pre-flood, in my opinion. Tim Alberino agrees. This is pre-flood. When you go to the mounds and the megalithic structures all throughout Europe, that's post-flood. Huge, huge difference. They don't have the ability to work the stone the way they did at Sacsayhuaman, Ollantaytambo, Machu Picchu. Don't ask me why. Conjecture on my part, the angels who were able to do that weren't there. They were locked up in the abyss. They were chained in the abyss. Remember, when Jesus dies, where does he go? Body lays in the tomb, but the spirit and the soul go where? Down to the lower parts, the lower regions, Tartarus. What does he do? He proclaims victory to the fallen angels and basically says, you're not getting out. There is no jailbreak. I've got the keys to life and death. I just triumphed by the cross. He humbles himself. He dies. The body's in the tomb. 3 days later, the soul and the spirit come back. That's where the Shroud of Turin comes in. We are making a movie on the Shroud of Turin and the Holy Fire. It'll be released in October. Our hand, Gil Zimmerman and I, our hands are on the plow. This may be one of the most important films we've ever done, absolutely. And the Lord has redirected our steps, and we cut our last interview up in Reno just a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic interviews, and more on that in the coming days. Folks, you know, we've got 30 films, 14 books. I'm not going to beat you over the head, but the bottom line is you need to do your homework. You really do. When you buy a book, when you rent a DVD, it helps us keep the lights on and keep doing what we're doing. It also lets us know that we've got people out there who care, as well as all of these questions. And remember, if you've got a questions at lamarzulli.net, questions at lamarzulli.net. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button. I'll be back again soon. Hey folks, L.A. Marzulli here. I've got book number 14 coming out. It's being published by Charisma Media. It's called Rungs of Disclosure. Let me whet your appetite. What is it, 77 years ago, something happened in Roswell, New Mexico? Was it really a weather balloon, or was it something else? Folks, one of the very first chapters in that book delves into the whole Roswell event. What I think happened there was a cover-up, and it began the deliberate obfuscation that continued until 2017. And Tucker Carlson asked Commander David Fravor, in your opinion, what was this tic-tac-shaped UFO that you saw? Commander David Fravor looks right at the camera and says, whatever this was not from this earth. That's the nexus. That's the beginning of the Rungs of Disclosure book. I think it's the most important book I've ever penned. Go to lamarzulli.com, lamarzulli.com. You can pre-order the book, save $5, and that book will be autographed by yours truly. Don't forget, folks, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. In my opinion, this is the coming great deception that Jesus warns us about.